welcome to the European Parliament. We are all very pleased that the European Parliament is coming forward with initiatives to show that the Parliament is not involved only in the Commission's legislative proposals, but also that it takes its own initiatives during a financial crisis to ensure that the most important topics are kept on the agenda. And I'm very pleased, therefore, to see you today at the first European Innovation Summit, and I have the honour of opening it. The topic we'll be addressing is intellectual property, and intellectual property is something which is of particular significance for us, because property in a market economy is an important component of our success. We need competition to ensure that the internal market stays healthy. The internal market, of course, is not yet complete, but it is developing well and in the right direction, because internal market competition proceeds apace. And Europe has learnt to take a leading role at international level in recent years. That's something which we can be proud of, I think, over the last few years. And this leading role, I believe, needs to be improved in the light of the Lisbon Treaty, and which now de facto has been approved by all governments and parliaments, including by referendum where necessary. So we look forward to further debate and cooperation between our institutions. That's something I believe we should be proud of. STOA is a working group in the Parliament which deals with technological development, and we've produced a number of studies and organised a number of debates on how to expand innovation in Europe. Our colleagues from STOA are here with us. We're very pleased about that. And it's important that these matters remain the focus of our attention and that they have an input into our legislative work. The scientific preparation of the topics that we deal with plays a very important part, and we don't have only competition and innovation programs, but also we have the 7th Framework Research Programme. We work, therefore, intensively to promote innovation, and I'm very pleased that Edith Herzog is here. She's also a member of the European Parliament, as am I. I'm from Hungary, and this morning she was calling for an Innovation Act, and I think we probably need to call it the Herzog Innovation Act, because I see this as an excellent proposal. It's something we support, and we wish to see knowledge as part of freedom of opinion in Europe. It's part of the services we provide, and of course it's an important part of intellectual property. But sometimes that is very difficult to apply to products where you can see a physical piece of property, whereas for intellectual property it's a completely different kind of thing. We go rather more into depth, of course, when we're talking about intellectual property. And I'm pleased that we've chosen this topic today. Roland Strauss is the founder of Knowledge for Innovation and has done a great deal of useful preparatory work. I'm very grateful to him, because we need innovators to feed into the work of the Parliament. We need the opinions of industry and scientists as well as politicians, and that can form a useful working nucleus. We deal in a very intensive way with matters not just inside Europe but also at global level, and there are many initiatives here in the European Parliament, and in STOA we look particularly at input from parliamentary specialists so as to avoid duplication of effort, and we try in that way to identify how we in future can make progress in this area. I think what we need to do is identify the focal points of innovation, what drives innovation. I don't just mean training and recognition of training, but also I mean the dissemination of knowledge. We have in Europe the European Institute of Technology, which we created, and that should be the future focus of intellectual property, from granting of patents to innovation in the broadest sense, and that fits very well into the 7th Framework Programme. There have been criticisms that Europe is very good at specialist work, but is terrible at putting its ideas across to the public. We need to learn, I think, to organise our professional profile, our public profile, rather more professionally. There are many cities in Europe, I think, which work on that rather better than we do as institutions of the European Union. We need to ensure that information and communication technologies play their appropriately important part in that. We've organised a number of meetings on that topic, but I think we've done rather too little. And by innovation, we don't just mean training and advanced training, but we also need to look at what entrepreneurs do. We need to identify entrepreneurship. We need to identify the concept of risk. And my criticism of the institutions would be that we, as politicians, want to create a risk-free society where nothing goes wrong and everything is 100% efficient. But you can't find that. That doesn't exist in economies or in science or in research. And we have to ensure that the things we've recognised as important do in fact form the focus of our considerations. Accepting risk means you have to accept the risk of failure. And by that I mean genuine failure. I don't just mean things like fraud. And we have to ensure that that is that prospect of failure is as much a part of our work as politicians, or the recognition of it is, as is our success. I think that even if, to put it in a lapidary fashion, I think it's no good going to your grandmother and saying, well, look, you've got hundreds of euros in your savings books, because that's not going to provide liquidity for the banks. We need, therefore, to understand that sometimes absolute risks need to be taken, and sometimes you can lose 100% in a non-disastrous way, which you can then use as a point of departure for a new approach. Intellectual property, then, I think, is a particular challenge. We are all familiar with the concept of return on investment, but return on investment must also apply to our research, our innovation, and our market research. We're talking about global markets, and in fact when I was at university in Linz I wrote my dissertation on patents and how to market patents, how you market licenses in the most effective economic way. And that was the first piece of work which was done in that context, on patents and licenses. And that's something